Maori, kia orana, glad you could join us on the Pacific Way. Mining for deep-sea minerals is yet to commence in the Pacific, but it's an emerging industry that is attracting plenty of interest. In the next documentary, produced by Steve Menzies, called Breaking the Surface, we take a look at two Pacific countries, Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu, and how they're working with their communities to manage potential opportunities and impacts associated with the deep-sea mining industry. The Pacific island nation of Papua New Guinea looks likely to be the first country in the world to begin the pioneering process of deep-sea mining. The PNG government has been working with the Canadian company Nautilus Minerals to mine a hydrothermal vent system that lies 1,600 meters below the surface of the Bismarck Sea. The Solwara 1 deep-sea mining site is just 30 kilometers from the small isolated communities that live along the central west coast of PNG's New Ireland province. The PNG government has been consulting local communities and national stakeholders about its plans to manage the development of this new industry.
But at the end of the day, I'm a Papua New Guinean. Yeah. I belong to this place and I will die and live and die in this place.
But while deep-sea minerals could provide much-needed revenue for several Pacific Island nations, questions remain about the impacts of mining on the marine environment and the many communities that depend on it for their livelihoods. In this short film, we explore how the two Pacific Island nations of Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu are working together with their communities to manage the future opportunities and impacts associated with this emerging industry.
We never really pay attention to this sector until when we were put under pressure in 2008 when a production license was granted to Nautilus. So we had to quickly organize ourselves to regulate for offshore mining.
Throughout the Pacific, more than 300 exploration licenses for deep-sea minerals have already been granted. But many Pacific Island countries still lack the policies and regulations that are urgently needed to manage this emerging industry. Countries such as Vanuatu are now undertaking detailed consultation with their communities about the best way to manage the potential opportunities and impacts associated with deep-sea mining.
The only issue is it's a possible source of revenue for the country and for communities and for development. And that's the only reason this issue is even being discussed. So that's the mandate for this consultation happening, is that there is that possibility.
The PNG government believes that other Pacific nations could learn valuable lessons from its recent experiences by ensuring that a suitable regulatory framework is in place well in advance of any mining activities.
The benefit to other countries is that they can also learn from our mistake, I guess, and also try to develop their own policies in deep-sea minerals and also their legislation, so that by the time they're able to implement an offshore project, they have these regulatory frameworks in place to actually implement offshore mining projects in their respective countries.
Following a request from Pacific leaders, the Secretariat of the Pacific Community started a new project to help island nations to strengthen the management of these valuable deep-sea resources. Since 2011, the Pacific Deep Sea Minerals Project, which is managed in collaboration with the European Union, has been helping Pacific nations to develop appropriate national policies and legislation that are based on solid science, wide public consultation, and effective regulations.
We are really strict to that, and we really want to be sure that they get the best deal they can. And if they are not ready to engage with that industry, our advice is that there is no rush.
In 2014, after much negotiation, the PNG government decided to take a 15% equity stake in the Nautilus offshore mining operation. Nautilus now estimates that the Solwara 1 project will contribute more than $100 million to the PNG economy. While PNG's on-land mining industry already contributes up to 70% of the country's export revenues, most of the proceeds from this mining activity goes directly into the central government purse.
It's been difficult, particularly when we did a consultation, and you have to tell the people that unfortunately in this instance for offshore project, it's the state that owns the waters and owns the minerals. And there are no landowners with respect to offshore projects, mining projects. So it's been a difficult issue that we have dealt with. And as you know, that our constitution basically states that the state owns all minerals and all waters in Papua New Guinea.
Nautilus says it will also establish a community development fund to meet locally determined priorities such as schools, health clinics and improved roads. But many local community members on the central west coast of New Ireland say they want to see direct employment opportunities generated by the development of local deep-sea mineral resources.
We are living below poverty line. What we are saying is that, fair enough, if the government has already given the mining license, we want to make sure that we are accorded or we are part and parcel of the entire process. We want to see at least an area within the West Coast where the Solowar 1 develop into a township that can be able to give us ease to access services and all these things.
The Papua New Guinea government has now designated a coastal area of benefit in an effort to recognize those communities that live on the coastal areas nearest to any offshore mining activities. A clear memorandum of agreement must now be negotiated between the national government, the mining company, the provincial government and local community wards. And the government says this approach will ensure that any investment is used to support the development of major projects that will benefit the entire community. In Vanuatu, the SPC EU Deep Sea Minerals Project has assisted the government to develop a full national consultation process to inform the development of the country's first ever deep sea minerals policy.
It's a hard concept to get your head around, mining at the bottom of the ocean. So, yeah, that's why it's good to have those couple of films we have, which actually show the the arms of the machine picking the stone up and stuff from the bottom.
To go down there, they're using robots. And with robots, they got no common sense. And down there are lots of things that, we saw it on the TV, there are little holes or whatever where air is coming out and whatever else. And if we happen to have a power cut up there on the ship, this thing bangs something down there and it erupts. What's going to happen? The
churches and the National Council of Women have said no to deep sea mining. But I don't take that to mean prospecting. I think prospecting has value for just collecting data about what's down there because we don't have anything. So I think the general position has been that prospecting should continue as a way of just establishing some sort of baselines before we decide what the next step is.
The SPC EU Deep Sea Minerals Project has been supporting all Pacific Island countries to ensure that the future management of their deep sea mineral resources is built on greater transparency and stronger public accountability. As a result of this important regional project, it is widely hoped that the small island nations of the Pacific will continue to work collaboratively to manage the emergence of this new global industry on their own terms.
We've learned from the Cook Islands what they've done in their legislation, which is a good thing. And we are now seeing other countries, Tonga, they are working on this as well. But we still have a lot to learn from these countries, but through the DSM project, it will only assist us to to establish better regulatory framework for DSM activities in our Pacific countries.
They can develop their capacity to be sure that they will be able to respond to the emerging challenges associated with that industry. Meanwhile, they can learn from the countries that are more advanced and that are going to share also their experiences and probably the lesson learned from that.
Half a day, bonjour, welcome back. You're watching The Pacific Way. At the recent Festival of Pacific Arts in Guam, we were reminded about the importance of preserving our rich Pacific culture, heritage, and traditions. In our next story, we talk to a man whose road to cultural discovery got him falling in love with the ancient art of carving.
Well, I'm now at a site just outside of the festival village, and it's right by the sea where they're having carving, and this is part of the demonstration and exhibition for traditional arts. And this venue is absolutely beautiful. It's got a nice view right across to Tumon, of course the tourist center here in Guam, with the nice white sandy beaches. And at this venue we're having the carving, and the participants have been given a log of wood to work out their design on that log of wood. So let's go and check out first the New Caledonian team. Well, I'm here now with the New Caledonian team, and already they're working behind me on their wonderful piece of art. And I'm joined by Master Carver Calixto Urinia. Bonjour, Calixto.
Bonjour.
So tell us a bit about how the festival has been for you guys and what you're working on behind us.
En fait, c'est ma troisième festival des arts du Pacifique.
It's my third Festival of Arts, and I'm very happy to be here and represent my people, the Kanak people. We are trying to not only showcase our carvings, but also our traditional way of life, which portrays the Kanak people, and that is what we want to show in this piece of wood.
On va commencer par le bas. Voilà. Ça, c'est le chambrol.
We will start from the bottom. The carvings here represent a mask. It is found at the entrance to our traditional house back home to protect us from evil spirits. It stops them from entering the house where we live and discuss family and tribe issues. We normally see this only in the tribes.
Quand on parle des réunions, voilà, on parle de ce qui se passe au niveau de la tribu, ce qu'on va faire dans la tribu. Voilà. C'est surtout dans les tribus qu'on se trouve. Après, ça c'est comme emblème.
This is our traditional emblem. We call this kind of animal the kagu. This kagu has two unique attributes. It doesn't fly and it barks like a dog. You will only find a kagu back home.
Il ne vole pas, il aboie. Il aboie. Voilà. Et voilà, c'est l'emblème du pays. Voilà. La Calédonie, voilà le pays. Voilà. Après, la tortue, on a représenté la tortue comme le festival.
Then the turtle, it represents the festival because the turtle swims everywhere. It goes from island to island. You'll find it back home, here in Guam and all over the Pacific Ocean. We do not eat the turtle, but only during the yam ceremony, which happens once a year.
La tortue, chez moi, voilà, il y a les masques endeuillés, il y a le masque de danse. C'est le masque.
This is another mask. There are funeral and dancing masks. But this is a traditional funeral mask. You won't find this anywhere else, only at the Jibao Center back home.
Jibao, vous allez trouver le masque. Là, on représente comme ça sur le bois. Après, là-haut, mais sinon, on n'a pas terminé.
At the top, it's not finished yet, so we'll make some feathers and they will go with the mask. Further up, the moon, the sun, and the stars.
Le soleil.
One of the elders in our delegation came to ask us if we can incorporate the sky. It will represent the old way of navigation using the stars. Our elders sailed like that before. Now they use GPS or satellite, but before they relied only on the sky.
Dans les étoiles, situer les étoiles, le soleil, la lune. Ils voyageaient comme ça, en suivant les étoiles. Maintenant, c'est les GPS, c'est les satellites maintenant. Mais avant, c'était ça.
Calixto, we're just interested to know a bit about yourself and how you got into carving, and back at home in your island or in your village. How important is carving back home?
On va faire presque peut-être.
I have been carving for 25 years. Although I have a general diploma, once I touched the wood, it reminded me of my ancestors, and I realized through civilization we have lost a lot. So when I touched the wood for the first time, I got inspired, and I carve for a living now for those who request my services. I also work with school kids, trying to encourage them to take up carving. I also dance, and that's my life.
Et je vis de ça. Je fais des commandes, je travaille dans les écoles, je initie les enfants aussi. Je fais de la danse complétée. C'est ma vie.
What's it like back home in New Caledonia? Is the art of carving still well and alive, or is it in danger of being lost?
In my town there are 3 master carvers, and in my tribe 3 young people are really interested to do carving. I also work with kids in schools, and we hope that this tradition will last. For example, I never learned to carve, but you have to have the passion for it. So it is quite hard to pass on the art of carving to the next generation, but at least we try.
Welcome back. One of the most popular features of the Festival of Pacific Arts has been the performances, and the recent 12th festival in Guam was no exception. Enjoy this rare performance by the Marshallese delegation.
So this is the 7th time that the Jaboa war dance has been displayed outside of the Marshall Islands. The performers that you saw today, the small little performers, are 4th generation from the 1st generation that performed outside of the Marshall Islands in Townsend, Australia. The war dance is actually about the many facets of Marshallese life, from building of a canoe to launching of a canoe, building and constructing of a house, fishing, storytelling, many things, and war dancing. You know, the spears and whatnot. It's all, you know, Marshallese life in a dance, in a war dance, a chilling war dance. Each and every one of these kids are from Wujai Atoll, somewhere or another. They're all from a particular clan, a family, and those are the only people that are permitted to perform, because it's an oral history. You know, it's passed down from generation to generation, and only a select family can do it, and that's the family that were warriors for the royal family.
Remember to view stories from tonight. Check us out on YouTube and on Facebook. See you next week.